Hello and welcome. You're watching Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with the breakfast news, and here are this morning's headlines. India and Russia reject a Pakistan claim of a mediation offer by Vladimir Putin. Pak media said Putin wanted to mediate between the two SAARC countries. Tension continues in Darjeeling. More violence rocks the hills. More central forces deployed. GGM chief Bimal Gurung goes underground. Petrol price cut by 1.12 rupees per litre, diesel by 1.24 rupees. This as India switched to a market dynamic system where fuel prices are revised on a daily basis. Supreme Court issues notice to centre on cattle ban order, told to file response within 2 weeks. Government says its order is intended to regulate cattle trade across the country. And in Champions Trophy cricket tournament, India decimate Bangladesh, set up a final date with Pakistan. Skipper Kohli reaches personal milestone of 8,000 ODI runs. Now, in order to evolve a consensus over the name of a presidential candidate, Union Ministers M. Venkaiah Naidu and Rajnath Singh will today meet Congress President Sonia Gandhi, after which they are also likely to meet CPIM's General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri. Now, the BJP had, remember, constituted a 3-member panel of Union Ministers Rajnath Singh, Arun Jaitley and M. Venkaiah Naidu to consult political parties on selecting a consensus presidential candidate. Meanwhile, BJP President Amit Shah will begin his 3-day tour of Maharashtra from today. He is also expected to meet Shiv Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray, who has threatened to take an independent stand in the presidential poll. The Sena has a history of voting against the BJP's choice in the presidential polls. Sena had gone with the UP's choice of Pratibha Patil and Pranab Mukherjee in 2007 and 2012 respectively, despite being an ally of the BJP. However, Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has exuded confidence that the NDA has 54% of the total votes in its favour. Meanwhile, the Congress party has said that it prefers a consensus presidential candidate. Remember, the elections will take place on the 17th of July and counting of votes will take place on the 20th of July, 4 days before incumbent Pranab Mukherjee's term ends. On to the other top story of the day, rejecting Pakistan's claims. India on Thursday said that Russia had not made any mediation offer to it to resolve the Indo-Pak issues. External Affairs Minister spokesperson Gopal Bagle also asserted that Moscow was well aware of New Delhi's position of bilateral resolution of such matters as a terror-free environment continues. Bagle's remarks came in response to the reports in the Pakistani press that Russia expressed its intention to mediate between the two countries. Now, a senior diplomat in the Russian embassy in New Delhi has also rejected the report and has said that it was Pakistan's wishful thinking. Now, let's get an update on the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. And 2 cops were killed in 2 separate attacks by militants in the Kashmir Valley on Thursday. Now, militants attacked a police party in the Haidarpura area of the city on Thursday night, firing indiscriminately at a patrol party. Now, 2 cops were injured in the attack, one of whom succumbed to his injuries later. Earlier, militants shot dead a policeman in South Kashmir's Kulgam district as well. Constable Shabir Ahmed was shot outside his residence at Bogund. No group has taken responsibility for the attacks as yet, but the latest attack comes a day after Lashkar-e-Toiba warned policemen to leave their jobs and join them. The Supreme Court on Thursday sought a response from the centre on a petition challenging its ban on cattle trade at animal markets for slaughter. The government clarified that it will review the decision after taking account of all the stakeholders.
The Supreme Court issued a notice to the centre banning the sale and purchase of cattle at animal markets for slaughter. The court was hearing separate petitions, including one filed by a Hyderabad-based organisation. The petition claims that the government's decision violates fundamental rights to livelihood, freedom of religion and choice of food. It also says a total ban will impose a huge economic burden on farmers and cattle traders. The centre said that the ban is intended to regulate cattle trade across the country. While the government has 2 weeks to file its response, the Supreme Court has, however, not imposed a stay on the centre's notification.
ये हमें कभी नहीं भूलना चाहिए कि भारत के संविधान में ही गौ संवर्धन डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी में है और हम किसी के फूड हैबिट पर कोई कंट्रोल नहीं करना चाहते हैं। तो ये भी एक सच्चाई है कि देश की बहुत बड़ी आबादी गौ संपदा का सम्मान करती है।
To be vulnerable to or susceptible to unconstitutionality by taking away the right to life, right to practice a trade, right to practice one's religion, and all the freedoms that are guaranteed in Part 3 of the Constitution. So, prima facie, Supreme Court may have seen weight in the challenge to the notification and the rules that have been framed, which have virtually banned the production of meat.
They said to the state, whatever you have to say, you please say in your response, in your affidavit of response. I think the state wanted to amplify on what is already reported in newspapers, that there is some rethink going on. And therefore, on an issue like this, which has pan-Indian implications, it's important that the state should have a chance to respond. This case had nothing to do with cow slaughter. This case is about cattle markets. It's not about cow slaughter.
In May, the centre banned the trade in cattle for slaughter under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. The decision triggered huge protests in many states, in the south and in the northeast, where beef is a staple. Chief Ministers of Bengal and Kerala called the ban unconstitutional, while Meghalaya and Kerala assemblies passed a resolution against it. The Supreme Court became the 4th court to issue notice to the government in the matter. Earlier, Madras, Kerala and Bombay High Courts also issued notice on the stand. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Well, farmer agitations have broken out across the states over last 2 weeks, mainly over the minimum support price, the compensation for the damaged crops and rising debt. The government has claims that it has taken steps to address the distress, but so far they have yielded limited results. Now, in the latest developments from Madhya Pradesh, Congress leader Jyotiraditya Scindia is on a 72-hour satyagraha in Bhopal against the Mandsaur police firing and also demands for loan waiver for farmers. 2 debt-ridden farmers have allegedly committed suicide in Hoshangabad and Shivpuri district of Madhya Pradesh. With this, the number of farmer suicides reported in the state since 8th of June has risen to 9. The Madhya Pradesh government has transferred 3 police officials out of Mandsaur, where 5 farmers were killed in police firing last week. Meanwhile, CPM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri has also written a letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi demanding introduction and a passing of a legislation in the forthcoming Parliament session to confer on farmers the right to sell at MSP and guarantee its automatic annual review.
With farmer protests spreading across the country, the debate is now over. What are the reasons that are fueling the agitation?
इसकी फसल का सही साठ दाम नहीं मिल रहा है। जो फसलें वो जो लागत लगती है उससे दिन पे दिन वो भाव सभी चीज़ों के घटते जा रहे हैं। लागत बढ़ रही है, लागत दिन पे दिन महंगाई हो रही है। पैकिंग सामान का तो सरकार भाव फिक्स कर रही है, पर किसान का कोई भाव नहीं है। किसान गड्ढे में जाता ही जा रहा है।
Some figures provide a clue to the increasing farmer distress and anger. In the last 14 years, farmer incomes rose to just 5%, probably the lowest seen by any business. In 1970, agriculture contributed 43% to the GDP. Today, it has come down to less than 17%. According to the Shanta Kumar Committee report, only 6% farmers benefited from the minimum support price through sale of food grains. The rest are dependent on the market.
मार्केट हमारा इम्परफेक्ट है, ज़रा सा भी प्राइस प्रोडक्शन बढ़ता है तो तुरंत दाम क्रॉस कर जाता है। और आपने देखा होगा इसी साल देख लो कि आलू का प्रोडक्शन सिर्फ 1% बढ़ा है 2016-17 में और दाम 20% 30% घट गया। तो फार्मर्स के साथ दिक्कत है, उनके पास कोई चॉइस नहीं होता, वो कीपिंग कैपेसिटी होती नहीं है, लोकल लेवल पे कोल्ड स्टोरेज नहीं है, ट्रांसपोर्ट फैसिलिटी नहीं है।
इंटरनेशनली बाकी जो रिच कंट्रीज़ है जहाँ हम एक्सपोर्ट करते थे, वहाँ जो इकॉनमी अच्छी नहीं चल रही है, तो इसलिए जो है उन एक्सपोर्ट डिमांड जो है वो भी कम हुआ है और इसके चलते जो है वो हमारा एक्सपोर्ट जो है वो थोड़ा कम हुआ है। दूसरा जो कारण है जो इंपोर्ट से भी रिलेटेड है वो ये है कि 2014 और 2015 दोनों साल हमारे यहाँ ड्राउट थे, तो हमारा एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्शन भी काफ़ी कम रहा है।
In the Malwa region of Madhya Pradesh, agriculture is the main occupation just as in many other places. The region is an important producer of opium in the world. Wheat and soybean are important cash crops while textiles are a major industry. But despite all this, farmers here are in acute distress.
कोई जिन्स का भाव नहीं, अभी तक आधे भाव रह गए। सोयाबीन में खर्चा कितना आता है सब आप लागत देखो उसकी, उसका मूल्यांकन करो तो क्या मिल रहा, कुछ भी नहीं मिल रहा सोयाबीन में। बहुत हालत खराब है। उन्होंने जब वादा किया था हम उचित दाम दिलवाएंगे, ये करवाएंगे, वो करवाएंगे, बाकी सब खोखले साबित हुए हैं।
The government claims its budgetary allocation for agriculture surpasses the previous UP regime. Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself has promised to double the income of farmers by 2022. But nothing seems to have had any impact on the farmers' problems. Ravindra Sharon's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And Darjeeling continues to be on the boil as the situation turned violent on the fourth day of the GGM strike on Thursday. Now, additional central forces have been rushed to the hills where Gorkhaland supporters clashed with the police through the day yesterday and set ablaze a police outpost, a sericulture office and a railway station as well. The state police also carried out raids on several premises owned by the GGM members that triggered further protests even as the GGM chief Bimal Gurung went underground. Now, the Home Ministry has asked the West Bengal government for a report on the Gorkhaland issue.
The ongoing protest for a separate state of Gorkhaland has intensified. Darjeeling has been witnessing unrest and violence for the past 4 days now. Protesters and riot police hurled stones at each other on Thursday, while a car was also set ablaze. This came after police conducted a series of raids on the premises connected with Gorkha Janmukti Morcha chief Bimal Gurung. Police recovered more than 300 weapons, including arrows and explosives, in the raids.
हम लोगों ने 3 जगहों पर रेड की है और वो रेड के बाद ह्यूज क्वांटिटी में यहाँ पे प्रोहिबिटेड आर्म्स और बहुत ढेर सारा आपका एक्सप्लोजिव और कुछ कैश मिला है। कुछ क्या मतलब काफ़ी कैश आप लोगों ने देखा ही है वीडियो में, जिसको हम लोग वेरीफाई कर रहे हैं और भी बहुत से कॉन्ट्राबैंड आइटम्स यहाँ से मिले हैं जिसको हम लोग वेरीफाई करने के बाद करेंगे।
The ripple effect of police raids was that the GJM protesters took to the streets and vandalized several properties and also announced an indefinite shutdown in Darjeeling.
पुलिस प्रशासन जबरदस्ती घुस के हमारा ये ऑफिस में घुस के सब चीज ले गया है। सब लोग ये हमारा ऑफिस है ना, सब लोग ले गए हैं। बाकी तो बंगाल सरकार का चाल है। जितना भी आज अभी आंदोलन हो रहा है ना, वो पैसा हम सभी जनता ने एक एक करके इकट्ठा किया है, आंदोलन के लिए इकट्ठा किया है। बाकी पैसा ज्यादा हुआ तो बंगाल सरकार का चाल है।
The demand of the GJM for a separate state to be carved out of the Darjeeling Hills of West Bengal is fast turning into a major political crisis for Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. The opposition party CPIM blames Banerjee for the violent agitation.
चुनावी मौका पर स्थिति के चलते हुए अब वायदों को पूरा करने का डिमांड वो GJM कह रहा है। अब सरकार जो है वो पूरा नहीं कर सकती क्योंकि ये हालत है। अब इसके अंदर सरकार को ये इनिशिएटिव लेनी चाहिए, दमन से नहीं लेकिन बातचीत के आधार पर इस मामले को सुलझाना है।
The GJM's call for a separate state gained momentum after 6 other Hill parties extended their support and unanimously passed a resolution earlier this week for a new state. The centre has also sought a detailed report on the prevailing situation in the Hill district from the state government. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
News from the south of the country, and DMK and its ally Congress party staged a walkout from the Tamil Nadu Assembly yesterday after the Speaker disallowed a discussion on the issue of alleged horse trading of AIADMK MLAs. The leader of opposition, MK Stalin, yet again tried to raise the issue in the House, but the Speaker P. Dhanapal insisted that he has already given ruling on the matter. After the Speaker's clarification, the Congress party also walked out soon after DMK, as the chair did not give permission to raise the matter. Speaker P. Dhanapal said that the discussion based on media reports sans evidence could not be allowed. In order to let the House run, Speaker said that if the members had evidence for their claims, it could be submitted to him, and if found in order, he would allow a discussion.
What Mr. M.K. Stalin, DMK opponent party leader, as well as our Congress party leader, Mr. K.R. Ramasamy, they all raising the issue should come in the assembly. So, otherwise, our honorable speaker is having discretionary power to have this issue in the assembly. So, this issue should come to the assembly, then only the public of Tamil Nadu knew what happened in the past, what happened in the present.
Now, petrol prices were on Thursday cut by 1.12 rupees per litre and diesel prices by 1.24 rupees per litre, whereas actual reduction would be higher after taking into account a local sales tax or VAT. Earlier prices were revised on 1st and 16th of every month based on the fortnightly average of international oil prices. But from now, the prices will see daily revision in sync with the crude oil prices and the rupee-dollar exchange rate. Rates will vary from city to city as well as from petrol pump to petrol pump, with the Indian Oil Corp, Hindustan Petroleum Corp Limited as well as Bharat Petroleum Corp Limited deciding to follow a marginal differential pricing. Now, state-run oil retailers, which account for more than 90% of the retail fuel market in the country, are revising the rates in 5 cities since 1st of May. News from Uttar Pradesh now, and the government there has ordered dissolution of Shia and Sunni Waqf boards. Now, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath also recommended a CBI investigation into the alleged irregularities worth multi-crores which were committed by the two bodies in the state. Now, there have been serious allegations of corruption against the Shia and Sunni Waqf boards related to their properties. The revelations came to the fore following an inquiry by the Waqf Council of India. It recommended that the Uttar Pradesh Waqf board be dissolved immediately. Let's get you some more national developments in nationwide. 10 people were killed in a bus accident which occurred near Dhalaria town in Kangra district of Himachal Pradesh. The accident took place when the bus skidded off the road and fell about 200 feet deep gorge. 61 injured people have been admitted to the hospitals, where about 40 of them are stated to be in serious condition. Indigo Airlines and Air India have barred Telugu Desam Party MP J.C. Divakar Reddy to travel in their flights after he created a ruckus on a Thursday at the Vizag airport. Reddy, who was denied the boarding pass for being late, said that there were a number of people standing at the counter when he reached the airport. Reddy had repeated the same behavior in October last year at the Vijayawada airport when he had arrived late to catch an Air India flight. Former Chief Justice of India P.N. Bhagwati died in New Delhi after a brief illness. He was 96. Justice Bhagwati is considered a pioneer of judicial activism in the country for introducing the concept of public interest litigations, or the PILs. His funeral will be held on 17th of June. And in Breakfast News, time for a very short break. Up next, we have all the international and sports news. Stay tuned.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects.
These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Let's get to some international news now. London firefighters continue to comb through the burnt-out Grenfell Tower in a grim search for missing people. Now, this comes as the Prime Minister launched investigations into the deadly inferno, with pressure building on officials to explain the disaster and ensure that similar buildings around the country were safe. At least 17 people were killed as the flames raced through the 24-story Grenfell Tower early on Wednesday.
2 days after a huge blaze that engulfed a West London block of flats, firefighters continuing grim search of the gutted apartment tower. 17 people are confirmed dead. Fire chiefs say that they do not expect to find any more survivors in the burnt-out Grenfell Tower in North Kensington. Prime Minister Theresa May has ordered a full public inquiry into the blaze, saying people deserve answers as to why the fire spread so rapidly.
But right now, people want answers, and it's absolutely right. And that's why I am today ordering a full public inquiry into this disaster. We need to know what happened. We need to have an explanation of this. We owe that to the families, to the people who have lost loved ones, friends, and the homes in which they lived.
Meanwhile, authorities have started naming the victims. 6 victims have been provisionally identified. The first victim has been named as a Syrian refugee, Mohammed Al-Hajali. However, there are many people still unaccounted for. Officials are unsure exactly how many were missing, but they expect the death toll to rise significantly.
Jessica's a 12-year-old vibrant young girl who's going to be turning 13 next month. She's a lovely little girl with a bubbly personality, and we're just worried and concerned about her. We just want her home. We want her back now. The family do.
The tragedy that befell Grenfell Tower in London has brought out the compassionate side of the city's residents. People from across the city have sprung into action to help survivors, offering clothes, blankets, food and many other daily supplies. Many have also opened their homes to the victims who lost everything in the fire. Temporary reception centres have also mushroomed around the city to accommodate survivors.
Overnight, more people started arriving. And at one point, it's so fantastic. Some Chinese people arrived with Chinese food. We already had Indian. And then we had some Arabic people arriving, some Pakistani people arriving after their closing their rozas and that. And then the icing on the cake. So it's already Afro-Caribbean community because they're local anyway, yeah? The Jewish community turned up with 2 cars, with toothbrushes, toothpaste, stuff that you use, It's so fantastic. It's a moment of pure happiness.
Firefighters were called to the 24-story residential tower in the early hours of Wednesday at a time when hundreds of people were inside, most of them sleeping. Fire crews rescued 65 people, but some stayed in their homes, trapped by smoke and flames. 30 people remain in hospital, 15 of whom are in a critical condition. The Queen said her thoughts and prayers are with the families. The cause of the fire, which took more than 24 hours to bring under control, remains unknown. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The European Parliament has adopted a resolution condemning the human rights situation in Pakistan, as well as slamming Islamabad for not allowing consular access to Indian national Kulbhushan Jadhav, who has been sentenced to death for espionage. Now, the resolution, which was adopted by the majority, expressed a grave concern over the rollback in Pakistan of the respect for human rights and the rule of law. The Parliament also highlighted the case of Jadhav, who was sentenced to death in April 2017 by a Pakistani military court without any access to consular services, which is in breach of international law. The European Parliament expressed deep concern over the alarming rate of execution based on flawed trials in Pakistan and deplored the use of its military courts that hold secret hearings and have civilian jurisdiction. A delegation of a European Parliament Foreign Affairs Committee had earlier visited Pakistan in the month of April. Let's get you some more international news in World Wrap. At least 7 people were killed and another 66 injured in an explosion that struck a kindergarten school in China's eastern Jiangsu province. The blast happened at the gate of the school when the children were leaving the campus. 2 people died at the scene and 5 later died in the hospitals. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack so far. An attack at a Shia mosque in the Afghan capital of Kabul killed at least 4 people and wounded 8 more on Thursday. Afghanistan Home Ministry said that the 2 suspected attackers tried to enter the city's Al-Zahra mosque, but they were blocked by the police, setting off a gun battle. The attackers then took refuge in the mosque's kitchen before detonating a bomb. Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack. And the United Nations General Assembly has launched a major effort to coordinate globally the fight against the scourge of terrorism. The UNGA has set up Office of Counter-Terrorism or OCT, an office headed by a high-level functionary to coordinate all counter-terrorism efforts. India welcomed the creation of OCT. It is the first major reform effort of Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who took office in January with a pledge to make the United Nations more effective. On to sports now, and a dominant India marched into the final of the Champions Trophy. The 9-wicket win over Bangladesh is setting up a mouth-watering clash with arch rivals Pakistan on Sunday. In the second semi-final at Edgbaston, the defending champions chose to bowl first and picked up 2 early wickets before Tamim Iqbal and Mushfiqur Rahim threatened with some big scores with a 123-run stand for the 3rd wicket. However, Indian bowlers tightened the gap in the middle and death overs as they restricted Bangladesh to 264 for 7. Now, pacer Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Jasprit Bumrah as well as part-time spinner Jadhav picked up 2 wickets each. India were fluent in the chase as well from the start, with Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan providing a sound platform with an 87-run partnership. Dhawan's departure brought skipper Virat Kohli to the crease, who scored a brisk pace 96 not out. In the process, Kohli also became the fastest cricketer to get 8,000 runs, reaching the milestone in just 175 innings. However, the innings of the match was played by Rohit Sharma, who scored his 11th ODI 100. He was declared the man of the match for his unbeaten innings. India will now meet Pakistan in the Sunday's final at the Oval.
I'm really enjoying the way I'm batting. For me, the number of runs do not matter at this stage. I'm really enjoying the process, and something which is, giving me joy is that whatever I'm practicing and how I prepared after the IPL is paying off in this tournament. So I'm pretty happy getting the team across the line, honestly. It doesn't matter whether it's 3 figures or 2 or even 1.
And in badminton, India's H.S. Pranoy and K. Srikanth entered the men's singles quarter-finals of the Indonesian Open Super Series badminton tournament with stunning victories over their opponents. Now, Pranoy shocked world number 1 Lee Chong-wei of Malaysia in the straight games. The world number 25 Indian saw off a 3-time Olympic silver medalist Lee 21-10, 21-18 in the second round contest. He will next face Olympic champion Chen Long of China. Meanwhile, P. Srikanth also scored a well-fought victory over Denmark's Jan O. Jorgensen to make it to the quarters. And the 24-year-old dug deep to notch up a stunning 21-15, 20-22, 21-16 victory over the 4th seed. He will next meet the winner of the match between Nag Ka Long as well as Taipei's Zhu Wing Wang. However, it was the end of the road for the Indian women team because Saina Nehwal and PV Sindhu both lost their matches. Saina lost to Thailand's Nicheon Chandapol in 3 games, while Rio Games silver medalist Sindhu was shown the door by America's Bien Zhang in a tough match. Well, that's it from me and my team in this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching. Have a great day ahead.